All right, so this is going to be one of the tougher types of composite figures we're going to be looking at here. We have a porch, we have a roof, a column, and like the base of the porch. The roof here is a triangular prism. We have our posts, which are cylinders, and we have our base, which is a rectangular prism. One thing that is hard to put in the diagram, but I will tell you, the radius for the cylinders is 20 centimeters, which we will switch to meters. So the first thing that I would be looking at would be the area of the triangular prism. So this is an equilateral triangle, which means all three of the sides are of equal length here. When we are figuring out the area of that, there's a few things we are going to need to do. So over here, I'm going to draw my triangular face, and all three sides are 2 meters. However, one of the things I do need to figure out is what is the height, because I need that to find the area of the triangle. You would have previously learned that you can use the Pythagorean Theorem to find the missing side of a right angled triangle. So if I were to take this and to turn it into a right angled triangle, I can find the missing height. So if I'm going to put a line down here to bisect or cut this in the middle, instead of it being 2, it's going to be 1 here and 1 here. So that means if I were to ignore this part, I'm going to have 1 and 2, and I got to find the height. So I have the hypotenuse, one of the legs, and I got to find another leg. So with my formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, there's some things I can fill in. So for my a, I'm going to put 1 squared. B is what I'm going to be trying to find. And my c, or my hypotenuse, is this. Once I figure this out, I have 1 plus b squared equals 2 squared. Or, sorry, that should say 4. So I need to isolate the b variable, so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So b squared is equal to 3. So at this point I need to do the square root of 3, which is approximately 1.732. Now that I have that, I can actually go and figure out what the area of that is. I only need to find this front piece because the back piece is technically touching the house. So for my triangle, it's base times height. So the base of my triangle is 2. The height I found was 1.732, and I'm going to divide this by 2. So in this case, this is going to give me 1.732 meters squared of area. Then I need to figure out what the rectangular piece is. Now, because this is an equilateral triangle, all three of those are going to be the same. So my rectangular faces, there are 3. There's this one, there's the one you can't see, and there's the one underneath. The dimensions of this are 2.2 by 2. Which is going to give me 13.2 meters squared. At this point, I'm going to add these two together and figure out what the total area of this triangular piece is going to be. So this first piece, we've discovered that the triangular piece is going to be 14.932 meters squared. Next, we're going to be looking at the rectangular prism. Doesn't really matter if you do this or if you do the cylinders. I'm just opting to do this one first. So a few things to consider. With the porch, we're not going to be painting the bottom because it is on the dirt. So we are going to be counting the top, the left, the right, the front. The back is also going to be hidden. So for my top, I have, it is 2 meters by 2.2. is 4.4. My front, it is 2 times 0.15. The 0.15 comes from the 15 centimeters of height. We just switched it into meters, so we are all the same unit of measurement. So this is going to give me 0.3. And for my left and my right, I'm going to do them both at the same time just to save myself some time. There's 2 of them, and they are 2.2 by 0.15 for a total of 0.66. So once again, I'm going to add them together to find my total. So it's approximately, or no, so it is exactly 5.36 meters squared. Finally, when I'm talking about my cylinders, I'm only going to be calculating the around piece because the faces of the cylinders aren't actually on my surface. So I am going to use the formula 2 pi r times height. And I'm going to put this in brackets to denote that I'm doing 2 of them because there's 2 cylinders. So 2 times pi. I determined that the radius was 0.2. And the height, if you look closely, was 2.5. So this is going to give me, when I calculate this out, approximately 6.283. My total area, I'm going to take my 14.93, my 5.36, my 6.283, and there's one thing that I have to subtract, which I'm just going to do over here, is my pi r squared, because those pieces were calculated even though they're not exactly on the surface. So this is going to give me 0.126. Now if you think about it, I have 2 cylinders, and on each cylinder there's going to be a circular piece that is on top of that. So I'm going to need to subtract the value of 4 of those. So the total area I'm going to have to paint, if I were to paint this particular porch, would be approximately 26.071 meters squared. Or I can say 26 meters squared if you want to round to the nearest one. So yeah, this one was a little bit more work, but it's a process. You just need to follow the process through.